Hello everyone, I'm Hash Brown and welcome back to the Shadowbringers Dungeon Lore series. In this series I hope to explain the lore of each dungeon in Final Fantasy XIV, as well as to be informative about what are hopefully some niche things about them. Today's dungeon is Anamnesis Anyder. With the chase of Emet-Selch into the Tempest, the Warrior of Light experienced the architecture of the Ancients, finding a fully recreated Amaurot in the Deep Trench, as well as Academia Anyder, completely made from an ether-based enchantment. Though an accurate representation of the city as it once was, the actual structures were not real, with the only true structures being the various dilapidated ruins around the Ondu Cups, made of an otherworldly stone material. However, lying further in the depths of the Great Ocean lies an enormous facility known as Anamnesis Anyder, a great repository for records of the creations made by the Ancients, as well as various other articles of import. The facility itself is over 12,000 years old, and stands as one of the few remaining intact structures of the civilization, full of knowledge waiting to be tapped by forces with both good and bad intentions. After recruiting the help of Becklug, the Exarch set out to create a vessel for carrying the mind and memories of our allies back to the source. While progress has been made, the means required for the vessel to receive the properties of the soul is yet to be uncovered, with the Exarch vowing to see our allies home no matter the cost. Lena then speaks to the Warrior of Light about helping with a rogue senator to boost morale for the Crystarium Guard, and we head out to Lakeland. We soon find that the Eater in question was taken down by a mysterious man claiming to be a Warrior of Light, and Lena shares her thoughts on the Exarch's state of mind, noting his recent happy demeanour. In the Crystarium, we start investigating the claim of the apparent Warrior of Light, and move to spread the word to the people of the truth behind Ardbert and his friends, that they helped stop the flood after causing it, and should not be despised as so many of the current day seem to think. Oddly, while we address the people, none other than Ardbert himself appears, encouraging the populace to follow in his footsteps to become Warriors of Light themselves. The Warrior of Darkness, as well as the Scions, are suspicious of the man, the former especially after our experience in Amaurot and the fusing of Ardbert's soul. The man soon leaves, however, and we head to the Raktika Greatwood with Y'shtola to further plumb the depths of the Kitana Ravel. Finding nothing to assist with the Ascians' potential plans, we pay a visit to Slitherbough, where Y'shtola tidies her quarters, and Alphino and Urianger arrive having tracked the fake Ardbert to the woods. We follow the plan of beating him to a nearby Sin Eater in order to confront him, and head out to Woven Oath to meet our other allies. Thancred appears to have slain the Eater already, and soon after the fake Ardbert appears. We ask him to extend a fist, or otherwise ask of Seto, and both times the response rings alarm bells. Giving up pretense, the fake reveals himself to be Elidibus, and like Emet-Selch, deems us unworthy of our attitudes towards Ascians. After leaving, Y'shtola suggests another visit to the Tempest that asks the Ondo of any more ruins in the depths, and heading there, we speak with the chieftain Tolsh Arth. We ask of the ruins and he seems sure of their existence, but the recent theft from the Benthos tribe of the Ondo prevents them in aiding us. We agree to help and head to the Benthos lair to retrieve the Sax and Maniri livers, finding them alongside various supplies from Calusia. After returning to Tolsh Arth, we inform him of these extra items, and though surprised, he suggests that it may be part of the Benthos greater plan. It seems as though their queen will soon give birth to several more Ondo, and that they plan to raise an army against the land dwellers, willing to do whatever it takes to strike them down. Tolsh Arth then tells us of the ruins, deep beneath the deepest trenches of the ocean in the form of a monstrous structure. Urianger has an idea for the journey there, and we follow him to Sullen to visit the Isle of Ken and Bismarck once more. The creature is open to Urianger's request of diving deep into the Tempest, and requests we clear his sides of barnacles beforehand. They then tell us of a man once known as Ken, who became their friend, living atop the isle and conversing with Bismarck over the years. Bismarck then asks us to meet on the shores of Calusia to give them time to cleanse their outer shells. Worryingly, soon after this, Urianger and Thancred both suffer a dizzy spell, but recover quickly. Resting back at Sullen, we soon assist a man with a group of bandits, but after arriving find the situation handled by Thaler and Von Ard, two members of the Crystarium Guard. Finally, we head to Calusia with our allies, where Bismarck awaits to carry us further down into the depths to discover a long-lost gem of the ancient society. On Bismarck's back, we descend once more to the depths, and as they carry us further down, we fend off the bothersome creatures aggravated by the great speed of our carrier. Various sea creatures and rocks crash upon the point of egress, and after defeating the first set, Bismarck pushes through a deep trench of the sea. After a huge jellyfish-like creature is handled, we finally reach the outskirts of Anyder, with Bismarck seemingly expanding the protective bubble of air to the whole area to allow us to proceed. Heading over a small bridge into the area known as Catharsis, a creature simply labelled as Unknown awaits us. As a being of Eld, the Unknown seems to be a creation made by an ancient long ago. However, its monstrous design of mangled flesh and bone seems to lean towards it being an experiment that went wrong in the process of a new idea, leaving it as an unsettling reminder of what the ancients could have wrought. Its abilities in battle show its ferocity, but also the incomplete nature of its body. Using its sense of smell, it attempts to detect threats, blasting fire in front of itself in a seemingly arbitrary place. Doing so ignites the gases around the room, exploding them all at once. When injured, the beast cries out, and the specific frequency of its wails draw another of its kind to the arena, causing havoc as both attack the group. When one falls, the remaining Unknown flies into a rage, increasing its power. After avoiding more fiery blasts and surviving its shrieking cries, it falls and allows us pass towards the entrance proper of the facility. On the first part of the path, more of the wandering wildlife roam the area, including a rare, fully grown Cleonid, a creature that starts small by feeding on plankton, but here, even as we approach, it devours a nearby leech to grow to a huge size. After tackling it, the nearby barricade crumbles, and we are assaulted by the first of the Benthos Ondo inhabiting the area. Fighting through them, they seem determined to take our heads for their queen, and we push forward and up the ramp to Doxa, where some of the nearby diviners channel their magics into a crystal, using the memories stored within to call forth the Cyclops, an ancient one-eyed creation. The name of this creature references the Cyclops of Greek mythology, similarly one-eyed and responsible for the creation of the Thunderbolt, Zeus's weapon of choice. In combat, this Cyclops unleashes dark magics from its body, and channels its ether to the floor, generating magical hammers and blades that strike the tiles one by one. Additionally, it uses a recognisable ability from other Cyclops of the current age, swinging in a wide margin around itself, greatly damaging and knocking back any caught within. After avoiding this, the creature falls and we proceed into Anamnesis. This enormous building is full of the same crystals as those that summon the Cyclops, showing the vastness of the amount of creation stored within. The internal structure seems much more well preserved than the outer walls from the water and coral, seemingly due to the magics binding the door shut before our excursion. As we proceed further in, more Benthos stand in our path, but some continue to attempt to raise creations against the group. The diviners channel more ether into the crystals, spawning forth several more of the creatures unless defeated quickly. The rest of the halls are strewn with more of the same, with a trio of diviners calling upon their crystals towards the Archive Eternal. After defeating them, the doors open to Noesis, where we can spot what is predictably the Benthos Queen, her back turned and awaiting the chance to rise against the surface dwellers with her army. With a roar and a brandish of her staff, she prepares to face us in the end chamber of the facility. The room itself seems to house enormous crystals, possibly also containing yet more complex and sizable creations. The matriarch, Rukhdin, meanwhile, displays a mastery of water-based attacks, forming a deep puddle across the arena floor from which great watery hands appear, slamming down with a crash to the floor. Soon afterwards, the grates on the floor begin roiling and bubbling ominously, and should the group fail to cover them, several more Ondo appear from the grates and attack. Following this, the Dema calls forth outer puddles this time, with hands spreading from both ends. The party must move with haste, dashing back and forth to avoid the sequentially descending hands, making sure not to step into the water at the same time. When injured, the Dema leaps to the centre, causing water to bubble in every grate in the room, and at the same time calling forth the hands for a third time. Thankfully, this works to the group's favour, as standing on the correct grates as the hands crash down causes them to forcefully eject their occupants with a rush of water, leaving them incapacitated upon the floor. Finally, the matriarch staggers and falls, disappearing and allowing us full access to the knowledge of the ancients. As our allies peer around the room for clues, the nearby terminal we passed on entering begins to glow, and suddenly brings forth a projection of several ancients, a recording of a meeting of sorts. They seem to fret over the fate of the star, and though they acknowledge Zodiac as a temporary solution, the end of life as they know it still seems on the horizon. Mentioning the Convocation's stubbornness in their decision, they ask an ancient named Vanar of their opinion. Vanar too agrees that while the Convocation is trying to make the right choice for all, their unwillingness to find a more permanent solution may cause yet more death, and they wonder aloud if this group's plan should go forward, knowing it would mean condemnation from their fellows. They then declare that the light to hold back the darkness should come forth, and the projection disappears. The people seen here were those that would eventually summon forth Hydaelyn, and Vanar appears to have been their leader. Y'shtola then fiddles with the terminal, which glows bright again, and another projection begins playing. We see Vanar and one other colleague appear again, and the colleague seems to lament Vanar's choice, which they reveal to be becoming the heart of Hydaelyn to oppose Zodiac. The other ancient notes that Vanar will be missed, and wonders if the Convocation felt the same for Elidibus. The surprising comment reveals that Elidibus became the heart of Zodiac, sacrificing himself to do so, and leaving the rest of the Scions wondering what the reappearance of the Ascian in their midst could mean. With many new questions sprouting from the illusions, Y'shtola decides to remain in Anyder for a time to investigate the facility more thoroughly, while we decide to return to the surface to continue the pursuit of Elidibus and his plans for Ardbert's body, and the encouraging for more Warriors of Light to join the fray. And that brings to an end a look into the great facility of Anamnesis Anyder. Possibly once bustling with ancient researchers, the place stands preserved and pristine in the Tempest depths, and leaves many curious about the true scale of the amount of crystals full of creation that were wrought by hands lost long ago. With Y'shtola remaining within, Elidibus soon appears again and sprouts a vision of Warriors of Light to all those present in the Crystarium, causing a great amount to leave their professions in search of greater adventure, and leaving the Warrior of Darkness and Scions even more perplexed about his true end goal. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time for the Hero's Gauntlet.